All right, howdy everyone. I assume you've tried to Boolean something for your project and you have no idea how to clean up the mesh. I just did this in about 5 minutes and I'm going to show you how we're going to do this from scratch, starting from a new one. My main process is I just took a giant kind of cube, Booleaned using differences on a lot of different aspects of this, using remesh to make sure all of the pieces are connected. Then what I'm going to do is quadrangulate after that to turn. Remesh is really good because it turns everything into triangles. Quadrangulate turns everything into squares. Then we clean up the mesh. And then lastly, we retopologize and we get this really clean figure. But enough of that right now. I'm going to hide this and we're going to start from scratch. So I'm going to show you this whole process of how I created a cube. In this case, let's make a giant cube just like this. I'm going to add a big circle in here, scale it up. I'm going to turn that somewhere yay yonder in a really weird position. Let's have a giant pipe that is going to go right in the middle. I think that would be lovely. Let's do it right there. It's going to be really ugly and gross. And let's put in, um, oh, you know what? Toruses are fun. So let's bring that torus yonder. I like this because this is a really complicated shape in geometry. And so let's do, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Should be a very, very interesting piece of work that we're creating here. Okay, lovely. Now let's Boolean. So what I'm going to do is my main mesh is going to be this cube here, and I'm going to pretend all these shapes are cutting out pieces of it. So what I'm going to do is make sure I select this first, select your main mesh, and then let's say I'm selecting the sphere, go to mesh, Boolean, and here I'm using difference A minus B. So your first one minus the second one. And then now we have that all cut out. Great. Now I'm going to click off here, start again, select the main mesh, hold down shift, select the second mesh, do the same thing again. Boolean, difference A minus B. Cool. Now we have that has cut into that. Ooh, it looks like I have a little cube in here. Must have made by accident. Move that out of the way, delete it. All right, on to the last one. Select the big cube, select your next object, mesh, Boolean, difference A minus B. Now, that is some pretty interesting geometry. And so at this point, I'm done. But if I really wanted to go in and make some changes, as long as you select and then you can make more cutouts in here, and you can scale, that's one way you can keep editing the mesh. That's why we have these red outlines left. But if you're done, what you can do to get rid of it is make sure you select your main mesh, go here to edit, delete by type, and we're deleting the history because all of those were just historical artifacts and they are all completely gone. And now we're just left with this poly surface 3. Hi lady, she's trying to crawl on my lap, but I need to finish this tutorial and then we can cuddle, okay? All right. And now we have this really ugly mesh, but as you can see, almost none of these edges are going to be lined up. So let's start talking about that workflow. And so what I'm going to do right now is hold down Shift to make a clone because I want you to see this whole process. Hit F to focus in. First thing we're going to do is mesh, remesh. And just to show you my settings, this is what I have, nothing special. Hit remesh. Give it a little second. Now everything is turned into triangles, but at least everything is connected together even here on these edges. And so my next step I'm going to go into is mesh, and then we're going to use the quadrangulate, which basically turns everything to quads. I don't really change anything here, so I'm just going to hit that. Ta-da! It still looks messy, but almost everything should be in quads, except you'll see some areas are still having those triangles. But we're going to fix that in a second. And so we'll go for that third step, mesh, we'll go to mesh cleanup. And so these are my settings that I have in here. My main thing, what I did for the previous one is I selected everything but the four-sided faces. Down here for remove geometry, I just make sure we get rid of non-manifold, and then I have normals and geometry selected. I'm not going to close this right away because first thing I'm going to do is hit apply in case I need to go back and make some changes. Now I hit apply. What you're seeing is basically it got rid of some really, really gross stuff that we had in here. Anything that's got like a red color on it, it's because I have a soft selection tool. It's just telling me which areas it did fix. So if I click off of this, um, now you can see I'm in soft selection, which I don't want to be. I want to be in object mode. Um, so there is that example. So I'm going to close this, open the translate tool. I'm going to make another clone because I want to show you the difference between these stages to when we use our last stage, which is going to be mesh. And then we're going to retopologize because we're redoing the topology. In this case, I want to also, I'm not going to keep the original because I already have the original over here. For this type of object, target count 3000, but this is where you can do a lot of if how much control, how much detail you want. Right now I have that tolerance really low, but down here for topology, I was just adjusting a lot of these. For some reason, I like these numbers. They're kind of arbitrary, but I moved everything higher up than what is average. Lastly, scroll down here, preserve hard edges. This case, I'm not worried about symmetry because this shape is not symmetrical. I'm going to hit apply. Normally, this takes a lot of time. You're going to get this message because it does usually take a lot of time. Hit ignore and continue. Give it a little bit. Depending on how nice your computer is, it could take forever or it could be really quick. Um, and so, ta-da, look, that did a really, really good job overall. You're going to still see areas like in here that still have some issues, but like honestly, that is a case where you would just go in and just manipulate some of these vertex. Right now I have soft selection on and I don't want that, so I'm going to go back in here and just turn it off. But if I really wanted to clean this up, I would just go in and start moving some of these edges if I wanted something just a little bit cleaner. But overall, guys, that's Booleans is not typically used in the animation industry, but I wanted to show how you can do this for certain shapes. This was very engineering manufactured. There's the simple quad draw method, but with this method, I find it can be really helpful for some of these early modeling stages. So I hope this is helpful as you complete your assignments, but that is that is one method of how you can fix any Booleans. I know the other professor also has a quad draw, which is the standard way of how it's done in animation production pipelines. But hopefully this was pretty helpful, and let me know if y'all need anything more to be better explained.